Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, let's try that again. Good afternoon. It is so good to be back in person and to be back with all of you who continue to support your United Way. For those of you who I don't know, which I think it's about 4 people in the room, I'm Brandon Tucker. I serve as the board chair for United Way of Washtenaw County, and I'm delighted, I'm excited, I'm overjoyed to not just be here, but also appreciative that you joined us to celebrate what we continue to make, which is an impact in our community. Today, we're going to learn a lot of things about what we've done, but we're also going to learn about where we're going, our merger, as well as our future plans. But first and foremost, I feel like this is Sunday morning and I'm in my pulpit and I've got to recognize some people. There are some very special people in the room who continue to make United Way a priority, who advocate for us in and outside of the boardroom, but more importantly, they love our United Way. I want to thank Tim and Emily Marshall and Pastor Mashad Evans. Can you stand for serving as our 2022 campaign co-chairs? Did a phenomenal job raising dollars to continue that impact. We have a special guest. I don't know how Congresswoman Dingell always makes it to all these things, but she's here and she's got a 1 o'clock, but we're thankful for her presence. Congresswoman Dingell, if you could stand, we want to recognize, let's thank our fierce advocate in Washington for what we do here in Washtenaw County. But there is someone here who we all know, who is our immediate past board chair. He led us through a year of courageous conversations, which ultimately led to what we're calling the historic and exciting decision to merge with United Way for Southeastern Michigan. County Administrator Greg Deal, could you stand and please be recognized? Let's thank Greg for his leadership and his commitment to our county. While I have the privilege of serving as board chair, there are a lot of colleagues that serve alongside me, and I'm gonna ask all of our board members that are in the audience today to stand. All of our United Way of Washtenaw County board members, please stand and be recognized. Let's shout them out. We thank them for their volunteer leadership and their commitment to the community. Pam Smith has told us the check is in the mail for our service. We're still waiting for the check. If there are any other elected officials in the room, if you could please stand, and we want to recognize you, all of our elected. I know I saw a number of our elected officials. Thank you for your continued support of United Way. But also, we want to thank our host, who always graciously opens up their doors, Eastern Michigan University. President Smith is in the room. If you can stand, President Smith and your team from EMU, we want to thank them. Appreciate you for not just hosting us, but also the free parking. Somebody got excited about that. I know this past year, this post-COVID era has been a blur, and we want to share some of the great ways our community partners have come together through Washtenaw United, which is our weekly radio show on WEMU. Please raise your hand if you've heard that radio show. Please, yes. If you haven't, please go and listen. We have something each week that showcases what we're doing, and we thank you for the consistent support of WEMU. So, here's a short video for your viewing pleasure.
My name is David Fair, and I am your host of Washtenaw United. WEMU has partnered with the United Way of Washtenaw County. Together, we explore the people, organizations, and institutions that create opportunity and equity in our area. And as part of this ongoing series, you're going to hear from people benefiting and growing from the investments being made in the areas of our community where there are gaps in available services. It is a community voice. It is Washtenaw United. The Ypsilanti-based organization, Friends Indeed, has its own way of addressing the issues and helping those in need. It provides direct emergency assistance, and it has Poverty Reduction Collaborative that works towards systemic changes that perpetuate poverty. Bonnie Billups is Executive Director of the Peace Neighborhood Center in Ann Arbor, working to address community issues for a very long time. In the ongoing quest to create equity and opportunity in Washtenaw County, we have to collectively address generational poverty. SOS Community Services and its Parents as Teachers program. It helps parents build a strong family foundation by fostering healthy growth and development for their children through a variety of in-person training and resource measures. Markel Miller is Director of Community Food Programs at Food Gatherers. All too many have to worry about providing food for themselves and their family and require some assistance along the way. Melvin Parsons spent about 13 years of his life incarcerated. When he came out of prison, he had a mission: help others who come out of prison to stay out. Melvin founded the mentorship program A Brighter Way as one form of assistance. The other, it started as the We the People Growers Association and has evolved into the We the People Opportunity Farm. Today we're talking policing with Ann Arbor Police Chief Michael Cox and Washtenaw County Sheriff Jerry Clayton. We touched on the history of policing in America and how that's impacted our guests and communities. Now we want to look at where we are, where we're headed, and the new history that is yet to be written. More than 250 episodes of Washtenaw United have highlighted community partners working with the United Way to secure a thriving community for everyone. In May of 2023, the Michigan Association of Broadcasters recognized us with an Excellence in Broadcasting Award. Washtenaw United was named Best in Category for News Special or Public Affairs Program. We invite you to listen every Monday morning on WEMU for Washtenaw United. We are uniting for a brighter future, and we cannot do it without you. Give, advocate, volunteer.
Washtenaw United. Let's give it up for David Fair and our production team again, who produces that weekly segment. We also want to thank the Michigan Association of Broadcasters for the 2022 Best in News Special for Washtenaw United. There have been more than 250 episodes since we began. And of course, as I've said, if you've not, please go out today on WEMU's website where you can find all 250 plus episodes. Now, for those of you that know me, you know I can talk for hours about the work that's happening as a result of investments. But what I would like to do is recognize our agency partners and Washtenaw United interviews, many of which are with us today. So if you could please stand and be recognized for the work you've done and that you continue to do in our community. All of our agencies that receive investments and our partners that were featured on Washtenaw United, please stand and be recognized. Let's give them a hand. The work they do day in and day out to make Washtenaw County a better community. It is now my pleasure to bring up our CEO, Pam Smith, who has done so much for our great community in leading, as I've mentioned before, those courageous conversations and making a real difference. Pam has done nothing less than an amazing job at leading our United Way and ensuring that we are prepared for what will be our future. So without further ado, Pam, please join me on the stage.
Good heavens, who told me I had to follow a minister? Thanks, Brandon. I'm going to do my best for y'all. Thank you so much, Brandon. He stepped up during this transition. I asked him to lead, and he said yes. So I will be forever indebted to you for that. Thank you so much. So this year has been amazing for a number of reasons, culminating in the merger of United Way of Washtenaw County with Dr. Darian Hudson and United Way for Southeastern Michigan. I wanted to recap some of the things that we did together as a community. Our community brought back the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, first time since COVID in person. I have to tell you, I love our volunteers so much. Their eyes get so bright as they finish these tax returns. And with them and their help, we brought over $1 million in tax returns back to our community. So thank you to our VITA volunteer assistants. We got to celebrate Power of the Purse in person. We had over 250 people. We recognized Kathy Sample as our Woman of the Year. She's here today. Thank you, Kathy, for being here. We put more than $50,000 went back out to nonprofits that are helping women achieve financial stability. We wanted to thank all of our committee members who are here today, and Megan Mazurik. She did a great job as our chair. Megan did such a great job as our MC. I hear she started a side hustle as an MC for the community. So if you're picking up any fees, remember where it started, Megan. Our National Days of Action in June was back in full force. We had more than 150 volunteers and our corporate partners out in the community really making change happen. So thank you for doing that for us. We had in-person events again. Our Tocqueville Society was hosted by Bill Brinkerhoff and Kathy Sample at Argus Farm Stop, so we thank them for their support. And our workplace giving campaigns was so fun because people are coming back to the office, so they have started a wide variety of in-person campaign events. And speaking of our workplace partners, I would like every workplace partner and their donors to please stand so that we can recognize you and thank you for your support. I know that's a lot of you, but we're making you exercise today because this event is about you. So please stand up. I want you all to know that you are surrounded by people who put your contribution into actions to support the people of our community. The list of WEMU stories, all of that success was based on our donors and their contributions. Your contributions of time and talent and treasure reverberated throughout the community and really created a positive change. So thank each and every one of you. And Dr. Smith, I know you're in the office, so your EMU campaign's kicking off pretty soon. I'll be looking for you. Our labor partners continue to do incredible work in the community. Our annual labor golf outing is this Friday, so if anybody wants to call in sick, there may be a spot or two left. Rella is in the audience. They also do Labor of Love. They do Stuff the Bus with our county partners, so much more. So thank you to them. I'm proud to say that we brought back our annual 21-day equity challenge. This was, I think, our 5th iteration within just this community. More than 2,000 people joined us for an equity conversation. That adds to the total number of over 350,000 people that have participated across the country. It started here in Washtenaw County, so thank you for that. We advocated for the Earned Income Tax Credit. It passed in both the House and the Senate. We had 6,000 people call for help with our 211 helpline. Thanks to our agency partners for making sure that the safety net of support that is needed is present in our community, and every one of those calls was answered. Thanks to United Way for Southeastern Michigan's call center. We invested over $1 million in our second year of funding on a 3-year grant cycle in community impact grants. And we just invested $200,000 through the Opportunity Fund grants. On your tables, there's a flyer that talks a little bit more about those. They're so new. We wanted to make sure that you had all the information. So please look that up or ask any staff member for more information. Given all the amazing work that was collectively accomplished in our community, it's critically important that we look ahead to the future to ensure that our community has what it needs now and in the future. That's why I assembled the Preferred Futures Committee that you're going to hear from today, to ensure that all of the great work that we do together will continue to happen now and long into the future. It's the preferred future that we're building as a community. You know, it was about 12 years ago, almost to the date, that I stood in front of you for the very first time. And I wanted to just thank a few of the people that made that day so different and so special for me. So Tim and Emily Marshall, you welcomed me with open arms and grace at an event just like this. I have never forgot it. I still have the picture. I thank you for that. Bill Brinkerhoff, David Clifford, and Todd Clark were some of my very first board chairs. And you helped me through a difficult transition when we were trying to change things for the better in the community. I will never forget how you walked alongside me. Thank you very much for being here today and for doing that. Very much appreciate it. Greg Dill, let's see. You were working for Verna McDaniel, who had just taken over for Bob Gunzel. I needed some advice. You didn't know me from anyone. You called me up. You gave me great words of wisdom that really helped me through a transition. I will never forget you for that. Thank you so very much. And I think what's so important to remember is all of these people that I named, and there's so many more, had no idea who I was when they helped me. And you all, each individually, have the power to do that today. You can meet someone new. You can make a difference for someone. And that is truly the power of living united. So please, please take the time to say hello to someone you don't know, offer to help, and offer a hand. My time here has been an honor and a privilege. I appreciated the opportunity to walk alongside each one of you as we tackled difficult challenges and overcame so many obstacles together. And I really think because I knew you, I have been changed for the good. So thank you for that. I'm eager to hear from our upcoming panelists, including two of my favorite volunteers and a person I know you will love when you get to know her better, Dr. Darian Hudson. The panel today will be moderated by Bridget Herman. And while we're bringing our panelists to the stage, please take a moment at your very own tables and share a favorite memory of a time that you spent with United Way of Washtenaw County. See you in just a minute.
If you can hear me, clap 2 times. Thank you. I have toddlers, so I haven't had to use that yet. Good afternoon, my name is Bridget Herman, and today we are joined by 2 leaders of prominent United Ways in our region. And we're gonna discuss how this merger is going to better serve the people of the 4 counties in which we now work, Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, and Washtenaw counties. And I'd also like to welcome our 2 volunteers who led our Preferred Futures Committee that Pam spoke about earlier, Rich Chang and Brandon Tucker, and as well as Dr. Hudson and Pam. Thank you all for being here today. We collected some audience questions for this Q&A, and we're gonna be including them in the conversation that we're about to have. But before we go into that discussion, we'd love to share a little bit more about Dr. Hudson with our Washtenaw friends. So, in addition to leading the United Way for Southeastern Michigan, Dr. Hudson is also a former educator and a proud Wolverine. She also has degrees from Spelman College and received her doctorate from Harvard University. And if we were going to list all of her accomplishments, this lunch would turn into a dinner. So, all jokes aside, we're honored to have her here today, and we're really fortunate to have her leading our United Way. So, Dr. Hudson, to kick us off, what else feels important to share with this group of friends today, and what is it about Washtenaw County that drew you to this merger opportunity?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Wonderful to be here with all of you today. I am not a Michigan native, but I am Michigan made. And Washtenaw County is a really important part of my journey in being an educator. I was a teacher in Detroit Public Schools and made my way around a number of different places before becoming a superintendent in Milwaukee Public Schools. And United Way was my right hand for everything in serving our children. And my husband at that time he was my fiance, but he would always say to me, well, you love United Way so much, you should see if they have a job. And my husband is a Detroit native. And so there was an opening in Cincinnati and there was an opening here. And so all roads led back to Detroit. And it really has been an honor to serve in this role for the past 5 years. But you all know, as leaders, it can be very lonely. And the first person who reached out to me was Pam. And when you talk about someone who's always been gracious with her time, with her energy and her vision, Pam, just from day one, she said, we are neighbors, we are all a part of Southeastern Michigan, and we have to do this work together. It's not an option. And who knew a year and a half later we would go through one of the most difficult times in our world's history. And she's just always been someone, anyone who knows her, you're someone everybody can count on, and that people genuinely just adore. And so when the idea and the possibility of the merger came up, the first thing for me was obviously yes. But it was the opportunity to partner and learn with Pam and to see the miraculous things that she's done in this community, and thinking about the ways that we get a chance to expand our impact and also our partnership. But for me, honestly, just being able to watch from afar the way that we've locked arms together and the gracious attitude that she always has in approaching this work really just made it a very easy decision to move forward and think about ways that we can expand our impact in Southeastern Michigan. So I'm just thrilled at the opportunity for us now as 4 counties, and we will continue to learn and grow and partner together to make sure we can serve all of our families in need.
Thank you for that, Dr. Hudson. I'm going to turn to 2 of our favorite volunteers. Rich and Brandon, you both stepped up to co-chair the Preferred Futures Committee. So Rich, what made you say, I'm ready for some courageous conversations?
Asking me the tough questions from the start already. It really came down to seeing what was happening in the world, and the pandemic really brought a lot of that to light. We knew that there was going to be a need for change overall. The tides were changing even before the pandemic happened, and then the pandemic happened, and we as a committee and also as a board decided, okay, what do we need to do for the future, and how do we have the greatest impact? And that's what started a lot of these courageous, tough conversations that we had, and we were presented by Pam and the staff with some different options that we could potentially follow. And one of them was, hey, do we look to merge with another United Way? It's been actually happening across the nation, and we got to see the impact that those particular organizations had as they combined forces. And so, not just at the local, but also at a larger effort for us, in particular Southeast Michigan. So that was a big key reason for us.
Thanks for sharing that. And Brandon, what was your hope and aspiration when this work began a year and a half ago?
Everything that Rich said. But no, to build off of that, one thing that we looked at as we kind of developed the short list of options was, what is the greatest partner that we can engage with that builds capacity? So when we think about our fundraising team, Susan, who's in the room, and her colleagues, they're a small team of 3. When we think about joining with USM, they're now joining a team of probably 40 or 50. So when you think about having capacity to go further, faster, and to also leverage the power of being a region. And when we think about COVID, I mean, that opened up, I think, everybody's eyes, right? How do we do more with less, or try to be creative? You know, it was USM that provided funding in Washtenaw County through grants, I think $250,000 to be exact. So when we talked about who best to partner with, it really was a no-brainer when we look at what was already happening. And I think that $250,000 investment was just the beginning of what can happen as we look to make a regional approach.
Indeed. Thank you for sharing that in. Pam, I'm going to turn to you now. You've alluded to some of this, but I think folks would appreciate hearing some of the key reasons that you had for why you were supporting and exploring the merger between United Way of Washtenaw County and United Way for Southeastern Michigan.
Yeah, thanks, Bridget. So we knew that when we came out of the pandemic, we were going to have to be a completely different organization. The pandemic had exacerbated community need, The philanthropic trends were changing. We noticed that. Workplace campaigns were changing as more and more people started to work remote. There wasn't an office to go to, so we had to find them in the cloud. Good thing we can all fly. So those were some of the things that we were faced with. And then we really knew that to create positive change that was centered in community, we had to ask the community, what are they looking for? And time again, from executive directors, from clients, we heard we need more resources, we need more people helping more people. So those were some of the things that we started to think about as we went through 4 different scenarios with our board and our preferred futures. And kudos to my board. They stuck with me the whole time. Thank you so much. They were like, what are you doing? Why do you keep asking why? But they stuck with me. They asked great questions themselves and really elevated this whole process to a whole new level. So thank you.
Was there anything that kept you up at night that feels important to share with folks?
Man, I just covered up my gray hair and you're going to make it pop back out, Bridget. So during the merger, that was a done deal, 100% the correct thing to do. I think more importantly, it was what was keeping me up before we really started to talk about what we wanted our future to be. And I'll go back to having those conversations with our dedicated volunteers who didn't have enough money during a grant process to fund everyone that they wanted to see tears in the eyes of volunteers, that kept me up at night. To talk to executive directors who have dreams and aspirations to change this community and not have the funding that I needed to give to them to make those dreams come a reality, that kept me up at night. And I think most important, the people that are on the front lines and the people that need our help and assistance every single day. So that's the kind of things I think about at night. But
Yep, a wonder that you sleep at all at this point. You know, Dr. Hudson, I'm wondering from your point of view, why was merging the right decision and what does it mean for our region?
When we think about the timing of the merger, and as Pam alluded to, where do we go? It's not really post-COVID, as you all know, cases are on the rise again. So this is our new reality, and how do we operate as an organization? And really, United Way is an institution in our communities. And with the merger, there were a number of things. We've talked about the change in demand for resources, the fact that we are seeing drastic increases in the number of people that are struggling. But for me, what really drew me to this, on top of all of the business type of decisions that were associated, was the fact that our organizations were so much aligned in terms of our mission and our values, deeply rooted in equity and inclusion. And my first visit to Washtenaw County was actually, I think it was 2018, and I was so impressed with all of the work that had been done around equity. It is now a lightning rod, as you all know, but before so many people were jumping on a bandwagon, if you will, Washtenaw County had put a stake in the ground, and it really gave permission for some of our United Ways that maybe were a little bit slower to take on some of this work, gave us permission. And the fact that the 21-day equity challenge did start here and that we're doing this all over the country is just incredible. And so for me, knowing the mission of this organization, the fact that there is such a deep commitment to equity and inclusion, talking about the tough issues that face our community and not shying away from them, for me was a real draw. I am who I am because I went to Michigan and I had the experiences that I had as a teacher in Detroit, and so this is my home, and it's home for a lot of folks, and I get emotional thinking about it. I have a lot of staff who live in Ypsilanti. They live in Ann Arbor. Washtenaw County is a part of who they are. We have EMU grads in my cabinet, my CFO and my vice president for people and culture, and so they're in here somewhere. The lights are really bright, so it's hard to see, but Steve and Laura, just give a wave so everybody can see you. But we're proud. This is our home. And so they really, Brandon used the expression "no brainer." I mean, it was, and it's an exciting time. We're really thrilled about the opportunity, but we have some serious work to do. This new Alice report is just frightening in terms of what the numbers are showing us in Washtenaw County, going from 30% to 40% in just 2 years. Seeing that many people struggling is really. I'm so glad that we were moving on this merger before that report came out, and now. I mean, it's all systems go, and we're having lunch. We're all dressed fancy and everything today, but this is really, we need boots on the ground and people really ready to take on the cause.
Thanks for that. And speaking of boots on the ground, we have some. Oh, I'll pause. Yeah. Okay. Speaking of boots on the ground, we have those community caretakers in the audience today, and so I know that what's top of mind for them is. Can you share more about the types of resources, both for organizations leading change work and then for people in need of supports? What kind of resources will be available to community organizations and then community members as a result of this merger?
So many of the programs, and I guess we haven't alluded to it as much, but we are very much aligned in terms of the services that we're offering to the community. 211, we've been operating that for 15 years. That is going to stay in place. We offer the same grants to the community, whether it's our racial equity fund, we have an advocacy fund, we have a basic needs fund, a number of different resources that are available to our community. On average, on any given year, it's between $15 and $20 million that goes out to the community. We've been very intentional with our governance in terms of the support that our clients and our community organizations can expect. We have a Washtenaw County Investment Committee that is focused specifically on grants to the community in Washtenaw County. This was part of our agreement, if I could say that. Our memorandum of understanding was that there would be continued support and investment in Washtenaw County, but we don't have all of the answers. I want to be really clear with that. This has to include our partners. We have to work together. One of the things that we've been able to do, and actually with the changes from the pandemic, when all of the different virtual conversations and things, it's allowed us to move a little faster. And so we are doing quite a bit of one-on-one work with our nonprofit partners. Some we fund, some we don't. But for us, it's really about making sure that all of our partners understand not only the grants that we can offer, but what are some opportunities that are available with the state, with the federal government, with private foundations. We've been helping people write proposals. We've been sitting in meetings, and it doesn't necessarily, benefit us directly, but does it benefit our community? And so that's what we're here to do. So I'm so glad that there are so many partners here today, but we intend to do this work together. So yes, we're bringing programs and resources. I could name, community schools, and we have all types of different programs, but this really has to be a partnership. And the communication that has to happen between us is really critical if we're going to succeed in our mission to make sure that all of our families have what they need.
Thanks for sharing that. I'm going to turn to how we fuel that mission with a question to Rich. So you've stepped up to decide to co-chair the United Way Fall campaign. So thank you. You can't get enough of a good thing being with us and volunteering. How's the merger going to impact that?
Two things. One, simplicity. Gone are the days where you lived is also where you worked. And one of the challenges we had is a lot of folks would live in a particular, say, county, and they work in another. And then when they do the workforce campaign, they're not sure where to send the money to. So now with this combined Southeast region, we actually cover a lot of companies that the residents in all 4 counties actually work. And so it makes things a lot simpler. The second one, this is going to date myself. There was a 90s tune by Diddy, actually I think it was P. Diddy at the time, called Mo Money, Mo Problems. In this particular case, I view it as Mo Money, Mo Impact, because the things that were alluded to before is that we always have way more requests than we had grant money that we could actually utilize. And now with these combined resources, Washtenaw County in particular, and all 4 counties that we cover actually have a lot more resources. And there's a lot more of organizations in need in particular that we can actually, a lot of times actually achieve the money that they requested. Because a lot of times what happens with Bridget and her team in particular, in the community impact, they had to really make some tough decisions of, well, we have a pool of money, we have 10 times more requests than we can do allowed? Do we just give it to a select few? Do we split it across? And every time we had to do this, it was a tough decision. Now, thanks to the merger, we can do a lot more with that.
Thanks, Rich. Brandon, I want to turn it over to you. As the board chair of a 102-year-old organization, what feels important to carry forward? What do you hope is carried forward in terms of our legacy and our mission?
Well, we all know that the needs that we have here in Washington County are not just unique to Washington County. And we're special here. We do things a special way. And I think that as we move to a regional approach, we've talked about this, that we're not losing anything, but we're gaining some extra cousins that can help us in our mission. So I think that the biggest takeaway is that while we may have a different mailing address in terms of the finances, we still have the same building in Washtenaw County. We have the same programs. If anything, we're going to have more. And I think to be able to lean in on the expertise that maybe we can field from communities that are doing it in Detroit, but to make it the Washtenaw County special and to make sure that we can tap those extra resources. And I think that, to Rich's point, we now have an ability to really serve our community in a far greater way than we ever could, mainly because we got some big cousins that are coming to provide us some extra help.
I love it. Dr. Hudson, I'm going to turn to you. You have talked about the stake in the ground that United Way of Washington County put in the ground around a commitment to finding the full expression of diversity, equity, and inclusion. You've talked about our 21-day equity challenge. Pam, you've talked about that this past year was our fifth iteration of the 21-day equity challenge. And this is an issue of importance for our community. We are living a tale of two cities, essentially, and you know this, you know the data. And so when it comes to an ongoing commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and that its expression, what can the community expect to see from us moving forward?
One of the benefits that we've had is that we were recipients of the McKinsey Scott Grant. It was $25 million given to us 3.5 years ago. So while we are at the end of it, we were able to use those resources to build infrastructure around diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we have a team that's led by our Chief Development and Diversity Officer. She was unable to be here today, but her name is Tanya Dare. That team is not only focused on implementing our 21-day challenge. We had 10,000 participants this year. It was our third annual. But we also have a racial equity fund. As I mentioned earlier, we've been giving $1 million out to the community. I know that there's been a social justice fund in Washtenaw County, and so we're intentional about making sure that we keep those opportunities open and supporting our leaders of color in our community. But we've also done quite a bit of training with our board as well as with our staff. Everything from looking at our bylaws, looking at our policies, the language we use, and really using this as an educational opportunity. So for us, the opportunity to partner, to have more people, more like minds who are focused on these conversations is really critical. But it has not been easy. We have lost donors because of the movement and really being so forthright about our focus and intentionality around diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we need help from our volunteers to talk about why this is important. We have a number of our leaders from our campaign cabinet, from our board and volunteers in the community who have gone back to their organizations and talked about why this work is so important, what this means from a policy perspective. And so those are some of the conversations that we want to bring in partnership with Washtenaw County, because we know those conversations have already been happening here and finding solutions in ways that we can help bring everyone along to where we want to be, and helping to bring institutions, which is even tougher, along. So that just gives a glimpse into the work, but it's far from over. And as you all know, it's not simple. There's not one solution or one way to talk about this. But again, just looking forward to building on the expertise that sits here and the work that's already happened, and with our team be able to do this work. The last thing I'll just mention organization, we do have a pretty strong digital inclusion strategy. It's called Connect 313, but I'm sure you all realize we could have Connect 734. My cell phone is still 734 from when I was at U of M. So it's really important to us that we are closing that digital divide. We have a group of volunteers called Tech United. They are the chief digital and chief innovation and information officers from many of our Fortune 500 companies that are in our region, and they are focused on helping to get devices in schools, helping to create maker spaces in schools. So those, again, are programs that we look forward to bringing to the children and the families of Washtenaw County.
Thank you, Dr. Hudson. Thank you all for sharing in your experience, this information, and a little bit more about what the road ahead looks like. Please join me in a round of applause for our panelists today. You can, of course, find more information about the merger. There's an FAQ on our website and on the United Way for Southeast Michigan's website. And without further ado, I'm going to hand the podium and the mic over to Dr. Hudson.
A little bit of musical chairs. Here we go. Thank you so much, Bridget. And again, I thank all of you for your tireless efforts in supporting the work that we're doing as a newly merged United Way. It really is thrilling at this moment to be here with all of you, just very honored and humbled at the opportunity that lies ahead of us. But again, the challenges are quite pervasive. And so as we think about what type of resources are going to be necessary, the type of hands we're going to need on deck to help us do this work, I'm very pleased to share that with Rich Chang's leadership, as well as Ralph Gio's leadership from Stellantis, this year our campaign goal is $45 million to raise to further the community. And that's probably the easy part, because the real work is the 45,000 volunteer hours that we are going to need to get this done. So I need a little clapping there too, please. There we go. Sometimes that's the tough part. But we know that this is ambitious, but the times are telling us we have to do this. We've got to be able to raise dollars to push back out into our community to help all of our partners in need, our families, and our children, our most precious resource. And I'm so glad we have all of you here to help us be able to accomplish this in our now 4-county region. I want to give a very special thank you to Rich Chang. You've heard his name a lot. He was really instrumental in helping to push this merger along, and the fact that he has now agreed to serve as our campaign chair is really helping to make sure that we keep all of our counties connected, that we are connected to our volunteers and our donors. This work doesn't happen without all of you. So Rich, if you all could join me in just thanking him. Rich, thank you. I also wanted to thank Ralph Gio's. He is the Chief Design Officer for Stellantis, and while he was unable to join us today, he is all systems go. He's very excited about doing this work and partnering with Rich to make sure that we reach this ambitious goal. We have a number of different strategies and ideas and ways that we want to be able to do this, but at the end of the day, this really is powered by people and by the generosity of all of the donors in our community. So he is going to take the mantle along with Rich to help us do this work. But again, none of this happens without all of you, and I'm so appreciative to see so many faces here today that are focused on making sure this happens. So again, just a round of applause for our 2024 campaign chairs. I would also like to thank our board members. So through this merger, we were able to bring our boards together, and I'm so excited to share with all of you. We have 6 board members who are coming from the former Washtenaw County, who are now going to be a part of the United Way for Southeastern Michigan's board. So I did want to acknowledge them and just ask you all to stand. And I'm sorry, it's hard to see in the crowd, so I just ask you to stand. As I say your names, of course, Brandon Tucker, Greg Dill, Rich Chang, he's wearing a lot of hats, Mike Rain, Nicole Conoco, and Eric Bacher. I also want to recognize and thank Pam. Anyone who's been around me for 5 minutes, you're going to hear her name a lot because she has just worked so tirelessly and effortlessly to make sure that this merger was successful. And she's been just an exceptional force in our community. And I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to work with you. We are still tied at the hip, folks. October 1st, we are going to be working side by side to make sure that we do warm handoffs and transitions with many of you in the community. So that's something we've been asked quite a bit. Pam will continue as an advisor for our organization. And so we are working together to make sure that we can deliver for the community. So Pam, I thank you for that. There's more. I hope everyone is ready to stand up a few more times for our Pam. So I wanted to just share a few more details about our unwavering commitment to the community and what all of you can expect. First and foremost, we are keeping the building. We are here in Washtenaw County. So I'm trying to think of many of the questions that we've heard. It is very important to us that we have presence in our community. So I have a number of staff. We have about 15 folks who live in Washtenaw County. So you might see people already running into the building with boxes. They're very excited to get started. So we intend to keep that presence here. We also still have our building that is headquartered in Detroit, but we know the work happens in communities. So presence is very important for all of us. So just know that you will continue to see us consistently. I want to also thank the staff of Washtenaw County. They've just been phenomenal. And you talk about a team that punches above their weight. These folks work 24/7 to make sure that the community has what they need. And so I just wanted to thank all of the Washtenaw County team. If they could stand, they have just been rock stars through all of this. From day one, no questions asked. Most of them have chosen to come to the newly merged organization. So we are continuing this work. They've been with us most of the summer. And so we are just thrilled. And I can't thank them enough for their professionalism, for their courage, for their fortitude in making sure that this was successful. So to all of you, I thank you so much. I'm already excited working with all of you. And it's just going to be a really wonderful transition for the community. I wanted to also just share, I'm sure you picked up, the 21-day equity challenge is going nowhere. We intend to make sure that this continues to happen in our community. We are also keeping our VITA program. We know how critical this is to getting resources back to our community. But I also wanted to lift the power of the purse. So yes, I'm glad, yes, clap. This is a festive event. We can clap, yes. And I'm pleased to welcome our chair, Lynette Findley. Lynette, if you could stand up. Or wave. I think I see you wave. There she is. And she's been associated with this event for over a decade, helping countless women in our community gain financial independence and success. And her vision and leadership is going to continue to propel this event and continue to build on the collective power of women in our community. So we're thrilled to be able to continue that partnership with all of you. We also have our Women of Influence Summit, which is in celebration of International Women's Day. We will continue that as well. I believe we're on our 8th year, so stay tuned for that. But we look forward to continuing to build on all of the great work that has happened in both United Ways to make sure that we're raising the resources and the supports necessary to support the community. So speaking of amazing women, and I know we got a little bit of a jump earlier, but we did want to take a moment to acknowledge Pam.
Pam, congratulations on an incredible tenure and just amazing impact. You were literally the first person who believed in us way back in the day, and it helped me ask myself, why not me, and thousands of other people after that.
I want to take a few minutes just to say thank you. Thank you for all that you've done to impact the lives of children, families, and the community in Washtenaw County as the leader of the United Way. It was an honor for me to serve on the board and work alongside you on so many important initiatives.
Hey, Pam. You know, lady, this leadership journey is not for the faint at heart. But you have navigated it with real grace, courage, tenacity. You have been a light in the darkness, and you've been willing to say the things and do the things that so many have not.
You are a female with a magic wand, and how lucky we are here in this area to have you a part of the community waving that magic wand.
The Washtenaw County Health Department and United Way of Washtenaw County have had a long-standing partnership. That partnership became even more critical during the COVID-19 pandemic. We worked alongside each other as recipients of the Rapid Response Initiative grants to address community needs related to the disparate impacts of COVID-19 in communities of color. Thanks to support from United Way of Washtenaw County, our health department was able to deploy vaccine ambassadors into neighborhoods and communities to provide education and outreach and to ensure equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines. This was all because of the leadership and vision of Pam Smith, the CEO of United Way of Washtenaw County for the past 12 years. Thank you, Pam, for your service and dedication. Congratulations on the merger with United Way for Southeastern Michigan and for ensuring ongoing local investments in Washtenaw County so that Washtenaw County can be a place where your zip code does not predict your opportunity in life.
Your passion for this community, and particularly for the youngest in our community, is something I will always admire about you and something I'll appreciate.
It's clear to me that every decision you made was guided by your commitment to serving the needs of the community, and the result is a lasting legacy that will continue beyond this transition.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much for the impact you've had on my life and on so many other people's.
Thank you for all you've done. Thank you for who you are. And I want to wish you well on the next phase of your journey. It's been a joy for me to have been able to work alongside you all those many years ago.
Pam, if you could please stand up for us. Because Pam, we are so grateful for your leadership and the legacy that you've left. I know, I love you. And so we just wanted you to know how much we appreciate you. We understand we have very big shoes to fill.
I do
and
wear
we
a
will
size
not,
10.
I'm not gonna. You got me on that one. Okay. No more tears. Okay. But we're just so grateful to you.
Thank you.
There aren't enough words in the world to say how much I've learned from you, how much we really feel the pressure to be able to do all the things that you've done in this community and for this community. And so for that, we are so grateful. And I'm so thankful for your friendship. And yes, thank you.
Thank you. You got this. She's gonna be amazing. You got this. That's okay.
We got 4 minutes.
All right. I told Southeast Michigan we start on time, we end on time. Everybody's used to getting a few minutes of their life back, so we have to do that. I just really do want to say thank you. Each and every one of you has made an imprint on my heart. I always go into a situation expecting the very best from people. And I think Brandon said it great. I coined a phrase that Washtenaw County has a very strong sense of self. When I first came here, we moved from Colorado. And I meant that in the best way possible, because each person here has the capacity to do so much. And I think that's why Washtenaw County is a place where people want to come to live and to work. So if anything, for me, go out and make a difference. Say hello to someone, smile. I think the biggest compliment I ever received from someone is when they said, "You saw me, you believed in me." And that's easy for every one of you to do. So if anything, please do that. Thank you.
And Pam truly lives by those words. When we were watching the video, in one of the pictures, Pam is working at a food pantry. She's got her mask on. And when we were going through the early conversations with the media about the merger, and they were asking for pictures, and we got so tickled because it's like, what do people think we do? We are working. Because they were like, well, you have a mask on. And Pam was like, yeah, we're in the middle of a pandemic and I'm doing the work. And that's just who she is. And again, those are just words for all of us to truly live by. This is about the work. It's not about individuals. It's really about all of us together as a team. So I hope all of you are as excited as we are. We have quite a bit of work to do, but I know we are ready for it to make a difference in southeastern Michigan for all of our families and our children. They most certainly are counting on us to do so. So 45 million, it's lofty. We are going to reach that goal. And just FYI, our goal last year was 40 million, so it's not like it's like way out of reach. And our goal for volunteerism was 40,000 hours. So we're there. We're really close, and it's in reach. But we're just thrilled at this opportunity to be able to serve and just look forward to all of the partnerships. So I just thank all of you for such a warm welcome. We're thrilled at this opportunity, and we're ready to get to work. So thank you so much for being here today.